Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous, episode number 182. On today's show, you'll hear from Travis Beck of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, about how to manage a deer herd with great minerals and great food supplements from RAKS Big Game Outdoors. So you can have bigger bucks, hold the bucks on your land, and have great hunting all year long.
Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444. Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin. And today we're heading to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We're going to head East River again, folks, and we're going to talk to Travis Beck. Now, Travis is connected with RAKS Big Game Supplements, and give a shout out right now to Chris Edwards. So, Travis, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's just start off. RAKS Big Game, I've talked to a lot of the field staff people. What makes RAKS so special?
I was just impressed, by the ingredients that are in his products. And, it seemed like some of the other products I've used in the past, you get such a small amount, and with RAKS, you get quality and you get quantity with RAKS. And, I got a buster block I'm looking at right now, and, this thing is 33 pounds. It's something that, really will last a long time if you got a tree stand. I got several stands where they're half mile away, and walking out there every couple of weeks to pull your cards and put more mineral down or type of feed, so you can get your trail camera pictures. Now with this block, I could put a 8 gig card in my memory or 8 gig memory card in my trail camera and just get this buster block out there and put some of the rack stack feed around it to draw the deer towards it. And with that 8 gig card, I can get 6,000 pictures on there, so I really don't have to disturb my area as much when I'm using the buster block. And then with the mineral, if you compare the mineral to other minerals, the ingredients, it's exactly what your whitetail bucks or any mule deer, whitetail, the calcium in there, and the counts are just way higher than everybody else.
What do you mean by that? We've all gone to the big box stores, and you get shields. I know in Sioux Falls, I've been there, mm-hmm. and they've got fancy labels and glitzy. But man, some of that stuff, and we're not gonna shout out any competitors, that's for mm-hmm. sure, on the show. But how do you know that RAKS is that much better? How do you know that?
I guess I got to put some mineral out this last weekend. I took my son out with me, and we got to put some out, and it's like a heavier mineral than your other stuff. It's almost like a salt, and this stuff has got more ingredients for the white, for the deer, and it almost has a natural smell, something that is natural to the deer and would pull the deer to it, rather than something that smells like an apple or something, pears. And I'm actually really impressed by just by the smell and the ingredients in there, versus some of the competitors. And like you said, the flashy bag, that it draws you to it. But if you look at your ingredients, RAKS versus another brand, and you look at your price, you're getting the quality of minerals for your deer versus buying a flashy bag.
Yeah, and I would just add on, listeners, and everybody's thinking about or starting to put up minerals or in looking at their food plots, spend some time and do some research, because the marketing is what you're paying for. And there's a lot of great companies out there. With Chris Edwards and RAKS Big Game Supplement is one of them. I count him as a friend, and I've got other people. Let's see, Grandpa Ray Outdoors over in Wisconsin, John O'Brien over there. And these guys are students of the business. And so instead of just paying you money and say, oh, I get this and it was advertised by this and I saw it here, do your due diligence and put the best food you can on the ground, because guess what? If you put the best food on the ground, minerals on the ground, seed on the ground, plants on the ground, forage, it all ends up as forage or mineral supplements, then you're going to hold the deer. If you don't, they'll burn through your stuff and they'll be gone. They won't come back, because you're competing with your neighbors because he or she is doing the same thing. So it's a competition for attractant, minerals, and forage. Would you agree to that, Travis?
Absolutely. Give them what they need, and some of the areas that I have are, I wouldn't say heavy timbered. It's just not like that here. And so you need to keep them in your area, as long as there's cover. And if you're giving them everything they need, then, there's no reason for them to leave until the rut comes, and then the buck can go be 2 miles away. But, I absolutely agree with you on that.
And that's great. No, I heard that your family or your community, your tribe at RAKS is pretty interesting. You said you were just out at an outing or some sort of RAKS big game up supplement get together. Tell me about that.
It was the Nebraska Big Game Conservation that they had. They had some auctions and a few other things. And Chris Edwards is president there. And, he invited me to come down, asked me if I wanted some tickets. And I said, you know what? I mean, Howells, it's a 2.5 hour drive. Sure, I'll come down, no problem. And so my wife and I hopped in the car and drove down for the night. And, the people and the show he puts on, he had Benny Spice came down, did a little talk, and had some rifle raffles and, silent auctions, live auctions, and just how involved he is in the outdoors in Nebraska. And I mean, not just in Nebraska, but, South Dakota and Iowa, just getting his name out there. And I was just impressed. He's a good public figure.
That's great to hear, because so many times you never really meet the guy behind the logo, if you will. And I know Reed Vanderveen lives 8 miles away from you, and Reed's been on the show, and he's just a great guy. So I'm impressed. I mean, I talked to a lot of people, obviously, and I'm impressed with just the group of guys that you have. Kudos and props to you all for being who you are, because you're real people, and I'm having fun talking to you guys. That's for sure.
That's good.
Hey, let's switch it up a little bit and tell people how to get in touch with you if they're interested in product, if they want to chit chat about whitetails. How do they get in touch with you?
I am on Facebook, Travis Beck, and then I have a Twitter account, SDArcher14, and is same on Instagram as SDArcher14. And you can contact me anytime on any of those sites, and I'll respond to you. Might not be right away, but I will definitely get back to you that day. So,
well, I appreciate that, because everybody, sometimes ask me, "Hey, Bruce, I really want to talk to that guy." Well, let's, here's his social media hits. Now, what about this archery? You do 3D shoots and stuff. Tell me about that.
Well, my whole family, I got into archery. I think it was back in 1999. I got into archery and just started, just like everybody else, just trying to figure it out. I think I went 5 years before I actually got my first deer, and it's just something I've really enjoyed. And since then, my wife and I have had 2 kids, and I've got my wife shooting, I have my daughter shooting, my son shooting, and there's some 3D fun shoots that we do here at the local archery shops in the summer, and in the winter months we'll do those. And then during the week, if we can, we at least try to get out to a range 2 to 3 times a week just to go and shoot together. And it just kind of almost brings us together, and we bond over it. And I really enjoy watching my son shoot and advance with learning to aim, steady, and it's a joy. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I just wrote a note, family time at the range, teach and share.
Mm.
So, listeners, if you haven't got involved or at least tried a 3D shoot, they're really fun. And it's something that everybody can do, age groups and everything along that line. So, you should be practicing anyway.
Yep.
You should never stop practicing as far as I'm concerned. You should shoot year round. But, now's the time in 3D shoots. It's the actual outline of animals. So you're looking not at a black or red spot. You're looking at, a shoulder, and training. Let's talk about how you get prepared for archery season. Let's talk about that a little bit.
With training for archery season, it starts in like right now in the spring, your trail cameras and running your minerals and your feeds. And, I will really step up my practice in the summertime, even if it's in my basement shooting 10 feet, I'll shoot and shoot and shoot. I'll even anymore, I've gotten into building my own arrows. And I'll spin test my own arrows. I'll, make sure my broadheads are on there straight. Been making my own arrows, with the fletchings, and even for my wife, and I'll help her out get prepared too, because this will be her second year. And then with work, I'm pretty fortunate with work. I'm outside every day. I hunt the pipeline. I work with the landowners during the summer months and really get to know them well, and able to get on some pretty good places. And sometimes you just don't get the opportunity. They don't want you on their land, and which is fine. And getting my tree stands hung, do a lot of on the computer. I'll do a lot of aerial photo scouting, and then catch myself printing out those aerial photos and bringing them to work with me. And I happen to drive through the area, and I look down at that map, and I'm like, okay, that's there. Okay, I get it. I know where I'm going to go now.
Pinch points and funnel.
Oh.
Hey, just stop. I love what you said about aerial maps. So let's tell the listeners, how you use an aerial map. I mean, just give us 90 seconds on that.
I'll just go on to Google Earth, and if I'm driving, at work, and I'll like, okay, well, that looks like a pretty good area. I'll write my street numbers down on a piece of paper, and I'll bring that home, and I'll bring that up on Google Earth, and I'll look for, some bottlenecks or a pinch point, and next thing or not necessarily next thing, but a lot of times, the farmer will call in to locate to repair some fencing or want to do some drain tile, and before I know it, I'm working with that landowner and talking to him about his shelter belt, or if he's got some heavy timber out in the middle of his cornfield, and before I know it, it's like, yeah, you can hunt out there. He says that'd be great, because then I'd know who'd be out there, so.
Yeah, it's amazing. Google Earth is quite a tool, and living out west, that's how. If I'm going into the new elk area, that's what I use.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I use, because elk are they're not just, but they're big deer because they're habitual, and they want to be where they want to be, and you just got to find them. But that stuff really helps, because you can really zero in on them, and no different than I'm sitting in Colorado, but I'm hunting in the farm in Wisconsin, because things change. And I don't know, do you know how frequent they update the Google Maps?
I was actually looking at one the other day, and it was, God, I want to say it was 2014, the last update it was. I mean, it was showing some new features on the land that I've noticed have changed. I was like, wow, that's updated pretty often on there.
Yeah, because the reason I bring this up, anytime there's change, that's going to give you new opportunities for stand. Period. By changing in the terrain, what they're planning, they went in and did some timber work, or a fire went through, windstorm went through, tornado went through. Anything is going to change the deer's behavior, and you want to be on top of that, because your old stand might be worthless, or it might be golden. You don't know.
Yep, and even I've noticed on some of those, a lot of the farmers up here, it's not easy for them to gain more land, so they make take more land by tearing out the tree groves and stuff. And that gives you an opportunity to pick up more deer in your area. If that happens like a half mile away, the opportunity to pull a buck off land you couldn't hunt before is there now. They'll just move into the next tree grove, next area. So,
and that's a great tip. I love it. I just wrote it down because, pay attention what's happening in your hunting zone or area.
Yes.
Just really pay attention to that. Let's go back and you talked in the beginning in the warm up of get kids outside. Let's camp out on that for a little bit and talk about it.
Yeah, I have my son. Anymore he is, on my heels with me. And, just last weekend we got out and we were putting out some buster block and some mineral. And I says, hey, why don't we just, we'll go check out another area. And so I took him over to a lake that we haven't been to yet. And, just seeing him, how excited he was to be outside rather than, he does have some video games, and I don't really spend a whole lot of money on video games for him. I'm like, no, we're getting out. We're not going to sit here and do this. And to see how excited he was to just be out there, and we didn't have no fishing poles with us, but he's like, we got to come fish here, and about his ideas on what he wants to do. I'm like, next weekend, buddy, we'll do it. And my daughter, she's really involved in softball right now, and so she doesn't get out quite as much as he does. But some fishing trips that are going to be coming up, and she's going to get out there, and the next thing you know, she's going to be just as excited as he is. Are we going to do it again next weekend? And you almost just have to take them and get them out there and show them some different things they've never seen before, whether it's a different kind of rock on the beach or a seashell, or maybe you're lucky enough to find a deer shed and you can explain to them what happens with a deer shed. And I just look forward to getting out with them.
Yeah, folks, takeaway from that: spend time with your kids in the outdoors, and don't force them. It isn't a matter of, hey, get your hunter safety and we're going to go sit in the stand. Make it a 365-day-a-year experience in the outdoors, and wherever that leads, let it lead. And myself, I can remember times, well, we got to get this done, we got to get that done, and I made it too much a chore. I didn't make it fun. Where whether or not we get that stand up or that shooting lane cut or whatever really wasn't important as I look back. And I know that resonates with some of you folks out there. So, take a breath and just enjoy being with your kids in the outdoors.
Yeah. Yep. And, with the hunter safety, my daughter hasn't taken it, and I offer it to her. And it's like, okay, do you want to take your hunter safety course this year? And I just told her, I says, it's up to you. You don't have to do it because I'm asking you to do it. I want you to do it because you want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm doing that with my grandkids, and it's funny. The first one, he took it, and the other one, when can we go to class?
Yep.
And that works out. Hey, let's talk about lessons learned, and let's talk about the magic word patience.
Yes. The magic word patience. It seems like the older I get with hunting, the more patience I have. I can remember when I first started, you'd go and sit in the tree stand, and it's almost like you'd be sitting there for an hour, and it's like, oh, nothing's coming, I'm just going to leave. Well, you need to gain that patience and stay. The more movement in and out of your area is just gonna alert the deer of your presence, gonna burn you out, to where you won't go hunting, and you could miss that opportunity. And and another thing with patience, a lot of people, when they go hunting, they want to get that big buck. And I'm just like every single person out there. I want to get that big buck too. And if you get that opportunity and you can just relax, patience, breathe, focus on on the deer, elk, antelope, and just patience. and before you know it, you'll have that deer on the wall or the elk or antelope on your your wall.
A guy told me a long time ago, he said, let it come to you.
Yep.
And I go, what do you mean? I don't have to walk 5 miles in elk country, ladies and gentlemen. You can walk 10 miles a day.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
You got to find the elk. Once you find them, it's kind of fun. But the thing for me in elk hunting is finding the elk. Once you find them, if you've hunted whitetails, you can hunt elk.
Yep.
It's pretty simple. But the hard part is finding them. So you might have to travel 10 miles on your feet, not ATVs, on your feet. And so the guy said, Bruce, see that ridge over there? I just want you to go up there, first light. I want you to stay there till you see an elk. If it takes all day, just stay there. I go, okay. And that's how I got my elk that year. Didn't see him till the evening, stayed there all day, packed a lunch. And then he came out and the cows were with him. They were just doing what elk do, eating and carrying on. And so I went back to camp and I said, well, this is what I saw there where they are. They're about a mile or so away. He said, okay, where are you going to be in the morning? There. I said, okay. And the story, we found him. The only reason I found him, I didn't have to walk 10 miles. I probably walked 1.5 miles, 3 miles that day, put my butt on the ground, waited, and then went and mixed it up with the elk the next day.
Yep. And, it's almost like the same thing for me. I drew an elk tag here in the state of South Dakota for the Black Hills. And the first weekend that we hunted, we found the elk. I just couldn't close a deal. That it seemed like they were always ahead of us. And we didn't put a lot of pressure on them. And the next weekend, I wasn't going to go that next weekend. I was going to wait. And I just couldn't help it. I just had to go. I sent my buddy a text. I said, hey, I'm going to go. And he goes, well, I can't. And I says, okay, that's fine. So I drove out to the Black Hills by myself. And, it's not a very big area, but it's a big area when you're by yourself. So I got out there and found some elk Friday evening and just kind of was patient, didn't disturb the elk. And I thought, okay, well, tomorrow morning it was rainy and cloudy. And, so I went back to camp and I woke up that Saturday morning and I got real early and I got up and I got in there and I got out of my truck as the sun was coming up. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to walk this logging trail here and I'm going to get into the timber and I'll just listen for the elk because they're very vocal at that time they were. And next thing you know, I heard that bugle off in the distance and I just started heading for the elk because they were coming. They were, like you said, let them come to you. They were coming to me. And I got to a point where I had some good timber around me. And then there was also a couple of dead trees there. So I just got behind the dead trees and I just listened and waited. And next thing you know, the elk were right in front of me and the cows and spikes were walking right 20 yards away from me. And next thing you know, I heard that screaming bull right behind me. And I happened to look back and there's that 330-inch 6x6 bull elk everybody dreams about shooting. And, the adrenaline and what's going through your mind when you're by yourself, I'll never forget it, and I watched this bull come through the timber and work his way and he went in behind some trees or some timber. And I looked to my right and I was like, there's an opening 40 yards away. I've shot and practiced 40 yards all summer long. I knew 40 yards. And as soon as that elk stepped into that opening, I was already drawn back. He stepped in and I let the arrow go and perfect double lung shot. The only thing, after the arrow hit and the elk started breaking up, the big 6x6 comes running back behind me. And I looked back and I was like, where's my arrow? I thought I just shot you. And I happened to looking around and I look over and a 5x5 came in before that 6x6 and I double lunged the 5x5.
Oh no. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Oh.
Good for you. Any elk is a great elk.
Yes. Yep. And
with a bow.
Yeah. I wish I could do it every year. It is an amazing experience to be in the timber there with those elk. I mean, it was great. I packed that animal out by myself and, it was an awesome experience.
And ladies and gentlemen, the best elk hunters are, when I first came out west in 1985, we bow hunted in Colorado and the guy's land we were on, the ranch we were on. he said, yeah, you guys from Wisconsin know how to hunt elk without ever hunting elk. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you're whitetail hunters. And it's the same thing once you find them. It's it's really easy. It's spot and stalk and figuring everything out. You can vocal just like you can rattle. You can grunt. You can bleed, whatever, and snort, wheeze, whatever. You can be vocal right with the whitetails, and all you do is transfer that to elk. Again, elk might live in 20 miles.
Yeah. Yep.
Not 20 acres.
I mean, and it was, I never even had to use a cow call or a bugle or nothing. They came right to me.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Well, it's hard to believe, but we're deep into the show right now, and we got to call it a show, Travis, and it's been great. Okay. I mean, I can't wait to the fall, one, to be in the Rockies, and then I'm blessed to be in Wisconsin. I won't be hunting Iowa this year, but I'll be hunting Wisconsin this year, so I can't wait to get back there. So having said that, sir, on behalf of Whitetail Nation all across North America, thank you, Travis Beck, who works with RAKS, Big Game Supplements, field staff with them, for being on the show.
Thank you, Bruce.
Make sure you'll listen to our next episode where we hear about hunting in Mississippi from Henry and Lakeisha Woodard.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.
Remember to text 33444 Food Plot for your free ebook